Hi, my name is Julia Jolly, and I am here with the creators of the movie The Recovery. Welcome, you guys.
Oh, it's just recovery.
Did I say that? Are you sure? I think The Recovery sounds better. Tell us a little bit about the movie and how all of you are involved.
Yes, Recovery is a COVID-era comedy about two sisters who go on a road trip to save their grandmother from a COVID-infested nursing home.
I mean, I feel like that's just, there's no like hindering of them getting there, that it seems like a very easy breezy road trip,
So
as most road
straightforward.
trips are.
It's like a 10-minute movie. My name is Whitney Call, and I was a writer for the movie and acted in it. And there's a lot of other jobs we did too.
You were the casting director.
It was just a lot of
production
hats.
design.
Did quite a bit of wardrobe.
I blocked a lot of it out. It was a whirlwind.
I am Mallory Everton, and I co-wrote and co-directed and co-acted and co-edited the movie.
There were other things.
There were
a lot of
There
things.
were things.
It was a small team.
And my name is Stephen Meek. I co-directed with Mallory. I acted a part in the film, and I helped edit like the last half. Yeah.
You
guys
were
like-
post-production
You were a
something.
Post-production
Producer,
supervisor.
you
Producer,
location scouts
locations.
here.
We
It
had other
was-
people involved in the film
I don't
at
know.
some point. I
Honestly,
presume.
I feel like an easier question would have been, what did you not do
What did you not
in
do?
recovery?
Our
Please
crew's
tell
gonna
me.
be watching this and being like, "Are you serious?"
We
really
did
did have a
sound.
crew of,
We
like,
did. I'm
chemistry.
totally kidding.
Yeah, Doug
We were,
wasn't
like, the
there.
No.
We got the best team.
Yeah,
we had the
very
best
good
team.
team.
Truly, so many talented people
Yeah.
that went above and beyond in so many ways.
It was a little family, just
Yeah.
like huddled together.
Yeah,
You've been through some stuff. I mean, that like bonds people together.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
blood
It's
oath.
like that.
we got scarred by this movie.
I mean, you wear it really well.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
I get to play a small role. I get to play Erin, and I play your sister, and who's delightful to play.
She was delightful to play
Bonkers.
You
with.
were just such a breath of fresh air. I
Yeah.
feel like the movie would have crumbled without you.
It would
Seriously.
have easy. I mean, you know that Stephen's not
Best
going to
part.
carry any weight on his shoulders.
True.
True. He's just a man.
There is going to be a spin-off with Evan.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be huge.
Don't tease.
He's gonna get his own
his
TV
dogs.
show,
Really fun.
and Whitney and I are gonna live in a dumpster, and he's gonna be a star. This is a classic female comedian experience, but we made a whole movie about two women, and everyone brings up your scene to me.
No!
Yeah,
Truly.
so I'm just saying you're wonderful in it. But
You're
yeah,
wonderful.
everyone brings up your scene to me. It's like, you know what? You know what the best
Furious
part of your
about
movie
it.
is?
With
The man.
guy.
We are furious about
I
it.
love that man in the movie.
I like when we
just
finally
like,
get to see a man.
Yeah, I was just like so
now it's
stressed. We're like, where are the
And
men?
then the
Where
guy
are the
showed up.
men? Yeah.
No, you guys play sisters. We all play sisters in the film. You
Yes.
guys, the people have asked me if you're sisters in real life.
That's sweet.
We're not.
We're not. But we kind of are.
kind of are.
We kind of are. We've
We're
been friends
not,
since we were
but-
8.
Yeah, it's
Um,
been like a over 2 decade, almost a 3-decade friendship. at
Don't
this
give
point.
away our age.
That's why I said it's almost
You're
ish.
super big.
We're not 40.
Somewhat.
I am.
It's reaching.
My older brother and her
My
older sister,
sister.
they dated in high school.
Yep. And,
And-
they took us on their dates.
What?
And then we were besties, and that's how it.
Well, we always had a lot of common interests. You can tell in the credit sequence in the movie. It's just like all the old videos we used to make together.
Yes.
We did all kinds of videos. We did
We made like some not suitable videos.
very raunchy sense of humor for 9
For
and
like
10-year-olds.
9-year-old girls.
Hey, we were raised on SNL and Adam Sandler
listen,
movies,
I'm the
Tommy
same,
Boy.
because when I saw the credits, and in the credits you see these adorable like home movies.
Janky teeth girls.
So great. They're just like doing all these movies, and I instantly like connected with that because I
Did you?
remember the day that my dad brought home a video camera and it weighed like 9,000 pounds.
Yes.
And you had it on your shoulder, and we made so many
It was
movies.
the
Right.
thing to
And
do.
there's
Right.
like a horror movie you guys are making. I'm like, made those. Like,
Oh,
they're
yeah.
pulling the kitchen knife out
Oh,
of
yeah.
the butcher block, and I'm like,
That was like my thing. Every New Year's Eve, we would wait for everyone to go to bed in my house, and then we would make a CSI parody
Yep.
where Whitney was the detective and I would play all the suspects.
I was also the victim who got murdered at the
She would
beginning.
always get murdered at the beginning.
But then I played the detective.
So all these great movies, this foundation that was being laid for your success in life, I want to know like how that sort of evolved into like something you both really enjoyed. Were you both like doing plays in high school? Did this develop through college? Like how did this kind of evolve into where you are now?
Yeah.
Whitney was like our high school's Meryl Streep.
That
She
was,
was like-
I mean, it was a
She
small
was the
high
star
school.
of
It was
everything
brand
she was in.
new.
Oh, you were that
she's
girl.
incredible.
I would've hated you.
She's always been amazing at accents, and she's always been like had an incredible voice.
Mal got
As
to
you
play
hear
Roxy
in the movie.
in Chicago.
What?
So, and then we got to college, and you were supposed to put away acting unless you were going to be an actor, and neither of us really wanted to go into acting necessarily.
No,
Yeah.
that wasn't the plan.
Yeah, we studied different things, but we got into a sketch group in college called Divine Comedy. She came with me to try out because I wanted some moral support, and she saw the group and she was like, this is fun, and she became videographer for Divine Comedy, then tried out her sophomore year. We did that for a while. Stephen joined Divine Comedy in 2011.
And you didn't.
11.
So this is like your first intro
Yeah.
into
First
this.
I don't
meeting
know
either of
that.
us. He was
He
a
was-
stranger.
Okay.
He was
Yeah.
a stranger,
Okay.
and we took him in.
I mean,
Showed
that's a
up.
lot. Did you know what you were getting into? When
Nope.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
It basically was auditioning for a new family,
Yeah.
It really was.
friendship.
I bet.
And yeah, it just took off from there. So we've been writing and acting together for
When did you get
over
in?
a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went from Divine Comedy, we got onto a network and were able to keep making sketch on a show called Studio C. And then just from there, we left Studio C in 2018 to start making our own stuff. Our group of 10 started our own company called JK Studios. We made sketch, but we also made web series, narrative content online. It was like just a huge like curriculum in making your own things, because we had for 10 years been making stuff with other people's money and
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
school's
Yeah, right.
setup. And so then to start our own business and say, let's make our own things, let's fund our own things, let's produce our own things. It was huge and very helpful,
Yeah.
big lesson for us.
I
Felt
bet
like Man versus Wild for filmmakers
I
too,
know.
where you're
Sure.
like you were used to like working in some kind of
Yeah.
framework, and then they're like, yeah, you know what you're doing, and you're like,
like, just
how do
we
I
don't,
get water
though.
out of
We
this
don't,
tree?
I think what's great is
That's what
that
they do in
you
Memphis.
have this like, great foundation, and you have this like connection, like blood, sweat, and tears of like working together in a show and writing and doing all this stuff. So then starting your own company and kind of going out there, like at least you had your tribe with you.
Yes.
To like,
You're
I
very
trust these
fortunate.
people. I know what everybody's capable of, so that at least you're
A
going
lot
into
of them
it.
are here today.
Yeah.
They're helping us
Thanks,
make
guys.
this.
Get it, get over here.
That's
That's right. Yeah.
So we're all still together.
Yes,
We're still
yes,
like
it's
still,
working
yeah,
together.
really is a family.
Yeah.
It's like,
It is.
tight knit. Not only is this taking place at the very beginning of when the pandemic hits, but you filmed this during a pandemic.
This was during the time, I think, when we all were still afraid to like open our doors.
Yeah.
Breathe
Oh yeah,
outside.
to breathe it all.
Yeah.
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 I really kind of adapted very quickly, as I'm sure everyone did. Like,
No
life didn't
trauma.
change that much.
Simple stuff
Yeah.
stayed simple.
It wasn't that far after March 2020 that we made the March 2020 movie. It was like June when we started writing it.
I was just talking with Whitney earlier about the fact that The Crown, the Peter Morgan, I think that's his name.
Sure.
I'm sorry if I got it
Fingers
wrong,
crossed.
Peter. But he waits. People were asking if he was going to do like the Meghan Markle and Prince Harry stuff, and he was like, "No, I need at least 20 years of context." And I was like, "Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that." We waited 3 months. Hot take.
We drew a lot on, I mean, the basic premise was based on the car, the
Right.
Yeah.
road trip.
Which is their car.
Right.
Because these
It's
two
our
are
car.
married. Have we said
Have we
that
not
yet?
mentioned that?
I know.
We're
These two are
married.
married.
They don't like to let
When did this
everybody know.
happen?
I did it while you were looking.
We have 3 kids.
We drew a lot of inspiration from Locke and from The Trip.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both
Yeah.
those are British films.
That take place largely in. I mean, Locke
Almost
is
exclusively.
he never
All
leaves
in
the
the
car.
car.
It's all phone calls.
Yeah.
And it was really inspiring. It made us think, okay, maybe we just need to bring the expectations of what a movie is way low. And not in a bad way, but like, let's bring it to a very
Make it
chill, simple
Super
place.
controlled,
Yeah.
exactly.
Even in a plot sense, where it
Yeah.
was just like, you don't necessarily need to have tons of things shooting up.
In a lot of ways, it feels very meta to me. I mean, obviously because it was made during the pandemic, but also because it was literally people trying to find joy with what was around them and what was in their grasp instead of looking beyond it.
Yeah.
Which is a key to happiness when you're not in a pandemic. You know, like we've got these people who know how to do this, like we know how to write the script, we know how to direct the script, we have a good we have an amazing crew that we love working with, and that we'll call them and see if they're interested. You know, we just had so many things at our fingertips that we didn't need tons of bells and whistles, and I feel like that was a thing I learned during the pandemic in general. Like, what's in front of me that I love? What can I use that's in this room with me?
Yeah. I know you put this together super quickly as well. Like, time was of the
Yes.
essence. It was
Yeah.
like, we've got to bust through this, and hopefully the world hasn't changed so much in 4 weeks that by the time we get this all done, it's like, well, this isn't even relevant.
And that was a huge fear the whole time because goes back to sort of like how much context do you need to really say something of value about the period of time you're in? And we were like constantly, are people going to care about this?
Are people going to remember you lost your taste and sense of
Exactly.
smell?
Like,
Right.
are they going to get that joke?
Yeah,
Will that make
yeah,
any
true.
sense? And so there were things like that of course, were questions the whole time. And
there was also a safety thing too. I mean, we wanted to make
yeah.
sure as quick
are
as
we
possible.
going to be able to?
Yes.
Is somebody
2 weeks
going?
of
Somebody
filming,
is
yeah.
like Brenna, our DP, who is incredible. Is she gonna get it? And then we're just like, well, we made a third of a movie. You know what I mean?
Right? I feel we need a game.
Ooh,
I'm curious.
let's do it.
We're going to get into it, and we're going to get in deep.
Like,
We're going to play a quick little round of Bang, Marry, Kill. I want to do Bang, Marry, Kill with scenes. Like specific scenes. A scene you would marry, a scene you would bang, a scene you would kill. And you can only pick one for each, so that's rough.
Oh.
Can I kill just like everything
You
in the
have,
car?
what is this? I worry about like, I'm going to kill all of it, I'm done.
Everything in the car.
Like,
'cause-
There were
just
so
kill
many
the car
things.
scenes.
It's like a weird thing, maybe just with me, that I'm like watching it and like the incontinuity that happens, and like the
Because we didn't do any green screen at all
Not
with
in
the
the
car.
car.
right. We had that amazing process trailer. That was and honestly, it's a mixed bag because we got through like 15 to 20 pages a day in the
Right.
car
Right.
because
Yeah.
of how
Unreal.
just like tight you
Made
guys
us
had
feel like
rehearsed.
superheroes.
That's amazing.
And so we were like, oh great, because the first week was all of the stuff outside of the car. We weren't getting like nearly as much as I was hoping we were going to get.
Classic first
And
week
then-
problems.
Yeah.
Typical.
Just during a pandemic.
First
with
week
no...
of a 2-week shoot.
Yes.
During a
And
pandemic,
then we
like all of
were
them.
in the car and we're getting 20 pages a day, and I'm like, oh, okay, great, we'll probably finish the movie.
Well, and we were just going on one road for a lot of like certain
Don't look
angles.
for it.
Oh,
look
don't
for
tell
it.
them that.
Essentially, it's not the only road we shot on.
Right.
But we were covering like 20 pages going like on this long stretch of road. But there were certain points, because you have to go like 20 miles an hour on a process trailer. You really
Right.
can't go
Right.
faster than that or cameras will get lost.
These are all
And
things we did not know beforehand.
Literally
either.
none of it.
Like when we
I still don't
decided,
know
like,
them. You're saying
we're
this and I'm
gonna
like,
make
what?
we're gonna make a tiny pandemic movie and we're gonna do it in the car because
no
it's
problem.
so easy.
so easy.
Just the
Who was it that
easiest.
somebody told us? They're like, if you had told me you were gonna make a comedy about in the pandemic,
About a pandemic.
that's a road trip movie, I would advise you to do none of those things. And so
Burn the script and make it kill
Yeah.
the script. That's what I would kill the script.
It was a compliment. He eventually said, and you did it.
and
we
you
were
did
like,
it, and
oh,
you did it
thanks.
well. And
It
you're
was nice of them to say.
I wanted to say I would want to marry the whole like series of scenes that are your dreams.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very
Those
fun.
4 pieces all together: the funeral, spitting in your mouth,
Oh man.
the
clown.
cloud on the
That
window.
legit frightened me. As it's supposed to, because it's a clown.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's just the way the world works.
And I think my absolute favorite is Mal like attacking you.
I
Like
know.
that
Like
moment
Gollum,
of like
yeah.
I remember cutting that part and like letting it last as long as I possibly could. So to this day I'm still like surprised every time you like attack her because I'm just like staring and I'm waiting and I'm so excited.
I don't think I breathed through that entire section
It was
because it
so
kept
good.
happening. I was like, I can't. It's.
I don't know
I
when
don't
this
dare.
dream's over.
Yeah.
Well, I think that speaks a lot to your interest in the. I mean, the honest truth is that we've made the movie we could make.
Yes.
during a pandemic, but we all have a lot of different interests and genres and things, and you are very interested in different kinds of genres.
Right.
And I'm assuming like is horror
There's
on
gotta be
there
some
with
horror
you.
in there.
Yeah.
For sure. And
I
that's
think
what
about
got me. I was like,
some
this
scenes,
just
yeah.
took me down a road I wasn't ready to go down. That con. I'm like, ah! I mean, I am in the small part, but again, I would probably kill a scene that I am in. Only because I
Julia,
remember
don't
the
you.
pain.
Don't
No.
you dare
I just
do it.
remember the pain that it brought me because it had been, there'd been a lot of running. And it's the scene where Blake and I kneel down to make sure that you're all right. And I wanted to die.
Ground scenes are tough.
I was in
So much pain.
so much pain. And
I
also
feel-
the rise from the ground, that hurt too.
I think I feel the opposite because I'd probably marry all of your scenes, or bang them.
take it.
Just like depends on the day.
But I feel that.
It's mostly because it was such a joy to edit you, and like,
lovely.
well, yeah.
Because you improv pretty much every one of your lines when you were describing your birth story.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I did.
And that was just
Part.
an absolute miracle to behold. Like, it was just insane. We drove around a little bit.
Yeah.
Somebody was holding the phone for you.
Yes, yeah, like in the passenger,
talk.
she was sitting all, yeah. So
And then you paused and you just went into all of these stories.
yeah.
And I lost it
It's
in
true.
between every single one
It's
of
true.
them.
And I've mentioned, the truth be told, when I watched the film, I didn't remember anything that was said.
That's because you're a true improv comedian.
That's how improv works. Like, you can lay out
Yes.
all this gold material, and then it is gone.
It's just
And
out
so
of there.
I
Get it
had some
back.
sound people contacting me, like, this is so funny, you know, like, I'm a vessel. And I'm like,
What?
I don't know what that's from.
What are you talking
And
about?
then I'm watching it, and if I may be so bold, I was like, that's hilarious. Like, I crushed that.
People ask us all the time. They're like, "With your improv background," and we're like, "No, we don't. We
We
write everything
in
we
the
say."
dark
Oh.
and then try to act natural, but we're just awkward.
But you're like the improv queen.
Oh, it was so fun.
it
And
was
It
amazing.
was awesome that you guys allowed that kind of freedom. So I was able to go super crazy with this birthing story. And I feel like in the film, there's a lot of experiences that are like that women endure constantly. And there were a lot of women that were involved in this film.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we wrote it together. We wanted it to feel very much like this is like anyone watching this is going to experience these two women's story because this is a like woman's story. I feel like while we were making it, we wanted it to feel personable. We wanted it to feel grounded. So we were like, hey, like what's going to happen if like someone has their period and they have to stop off to the side of the road? We had so many times in our career where we wanted to make period jokes or have moments where someone had a period and it just
it
was
happens,
like,
you guys,
it
turns
does
out.
happen.
Yeah.
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it's pretty regular.
And we've done a lot of work in the like safe for work space as well.
For
and
sure.
sometimes
Yeah.
women's bodies are very quickly considered indecent and therefore not welcome in that space. as
Even
well.
when
Be
it's
here for
just
this. Do you need to go?
Stay.
even when it's just like a natural
Witness
process, it is something that like gets quickly like fanged instead of defanged. It gets fanged and it gets turned into something that like becomes hush hush, becomes put away. And so I think like honestly we talked about like what are some things we can actually, not even in a way where it's like now we're going to talk about periods.
Right.
Because that's not how we talk about them in real life.
No.
So really it was like, what's a grounded way that a woman would live this story?
Yes.
And let's just make it as realistic as possible. And I feel like that opened up a lot of doors of just, people would come to us and be like, oh my gosh, my girlfriends have that conversation all the time. I can't believe you brought that up in a movie. And it's like, but your girlfriends have that conversation all the time. We have that conversation all the time. The fact that you've never seen it in a movie is crazy.
Yes.
Because we all need to understand that we are all having this experience collectively and stop feeling so isolated or shamed for what we experience.
Preach.
Amen.
Thank you, Whitney.
Yep. Knock it
Yeah,
out.
I think I'm really proud of the amount of women in the movie too. You
Yes.
know, like we've got Nana, we've got Julia in the movie, we've got sisters in there, and I think that I know I personally feel this way, but coming up in the comedy world, in the sketch comedy world, writing for women wasn't easy for me at first. I was writing all male-centric sketches for a really long time, and it was because it was all I saw. So I just didn't even know. I mean, I definitely see this in men all the time where they're like, okay, lipstick, hair, I know they care about working out. You know what I mean? But I started out that way too, so I actually feel a lot of compassion for men when they struggle writing for women, because we all struggle writing for women because we grew up not
It's just
seeing
what we've
them.
been exposed to.
And we also didn't see women writing for women as often as you know, I think we'd all like to. People writing their own stories essentially is not just about women, it's about representation in general. It's very exciting to me for us to like be able to hear stories from the horse's mouth. And you know, I feel like the movie is a good representation of a lot of the hard work that Whitney and I have put into trying to tell female stories in a way that will still be interesting to men.
Yes.
Which is very, it's kind of fraught because you're like, I'm not doing this for male approval, but so help me. And there are some movies that I'm so inspired by, like Bridesmaids, Booksmart, where it's like, I know those did very, very well with male audiences, and some of it is just because we've got like powerhouse comedy going on.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And honestly, Mal and I had been like circling this idea for a long time because we talked so much about Britt Marling, who helped make the OA, was the lead in the OA. She talked so much about the hero's journey and how it's a very masculine, traditional way of telling stories. And that isn't the only way to tell stories, but it's the way that we all know, and that's the only way we have been telling stories for such a long time. So we've talked so much about like what's the feminine way of telling stories? What's you know, an other way of telling stories? And I think that when we were making this movie, we were purposefully looking into like what are ways that life happens and it isn't necessarily a full circle. It's not going to be like, you know, different inciting events that drive you to the B plot and the threshold and the, you know, dark night of the soul. It just was so much about like, let's just like write this thing as it naturally would happen and make it just as like compact and doable and fun as possible.
I think a good example of that is the fact that we never have a big fight and then have to make up. That's a thing that
Like
you
buddy
see, I mean,
cop
almost
movies.
in every single buddy movie, and we just thought, we don't think they'd do that. So we're not going to do that. And that's a luxury that we had because we just made it ourselves. I think it probably would have been very easy for that argument to have been made in the script phase, but we didn't have a lot of those issues because nobody knew or cared we were making this movie.
Well, and you had like production help. Like when you guys started this, you were like, it's just bare bones. It is us. Like we are doing this on our own. We are pioneers. We're on our own. But then you guys got like some partners. You got some help.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Right in the
like,
middle. We were
right in the middle.
Literally a week in, and we're just like, we're paying
making-
for
We're
all
gonna
of
make
this.
this.
Yeah, we're going to do this with our own money.
But then Sorø
Films,
dropped out of a blue sky.
as an angel.
Yeah.
They
Well-
raised our production level so much. They really were able to help us get what we needed to make this film shine and make it become something that would actually catch people's attention.
And get it through post-production because we know how to cut, but we don't know how
We
to
had
do
no idea VFX.
graphics
Yeah.
and all of the
And that was, that's another weird thing with the pandemic. The fact that we originally had our schedule so that your phone calls, we would have had them recorded for them to actually react to in the car.
because we were like, we're elements we can control.
Yeah.
Like if we get really brilliant stuff or stuff that isn't working, then we can cut
they'll
around
adapt,
it. And
right.
but that wasn't how the schedule
But
ended up panning
yeah, the
out.
schedule had to put all the phone calls at the end. So literally everything before that, we just had to VFX all of those phone calls onto all the phones, and like not even thinking about the cost of that when we're like starting it.
Just like first filmmaker problems, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, and that was something that we were incredibly lucky with Sorø. I'm not sure that we could have found a better partner because they were like, hey, we're interested in female stories, first-time filmmakers, and comedies.
Like me.
were like,
go.
Also me.
Whoa,
Wow.
I've never met so much criteria in my whole life.
Like my dating profile isn't even this.
No.
Amazing.
It was just a really, really wonderful matchup, and we felt very
And
very
they've
grateful.
continued
I
to be
will say,
amazing.
though, like to first-time filmmakers,
Oh, yeah.
if you're out there, if you're watching,
If you're
None
out
left.
there.
There's none left.
if there are first-time filmmakers out there, because it was always like a huge leap for us to be like, we've made all these like small stories. When are we going to make our feature? When are we going to make our movie? Because that felt like a milestone that really, once we did it, it would like demystify the experience and we could then like get going. And so that's really why we did this movie, because we were just so tired of roadblocks being put in front of us of like, you don't have the money, you don't have the time, you don't have the crew, you don't have the... We still had none of those things.
Yes.
And
It's true.
decided, who cares?
Do it anyway.
Yeah.
Like, just start doing it, because honestly that's when people started paying attention. That's when we were able to talk to Sorø, because they were like, oh, like the plane's leaving, it's like a quarter built, but you're like, the plane's leaving,
exactly, right.
And so we were able to attract investors, producers, VFX teams, people to make it into something that is the shiny object it is now, able to get it into festivals, able to like get it into these people's laps who are interested, would have never been interesting if we had just stood in our rooms the whole time and felt like, man, when are we gonna make our movie?
When are we
Yeah.
gonna make our
Yeah.
perfect thing?
Exactly.
You know, and I'm so glad we made something instead of trying to make our perfect thing.
Obviously, I could for sure go on and on, but this film is so great. I'm so pleased to be part of it. It's massive. So thank you guys for being here. This is Stephen, Mallory, Whitney. I'm Julia. And a huge thanks to South by Southwest.
Yes.
Oh,
my
gosh,
goodness.
thank
What?
you.
So much.
Thank you.
I know, it's big. I'm not sure if you're
very
aware, but
excited.
yeah.
That's where we are
I
right
know,
now?
it's kind of a
That's
big deal.
crazy.
Thanks, guys.
If you want to learn more about the film, just go to recoveryfilm.com.
Woo woo.
You guys, well done. Is this your first
Thank
time
you.
on camera? Because you're really natural.
Thank you.
I mean,